Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. My name is Anne Marie. I am living love consciously, and I'm here to share that experience with you the best that I can in the most authentic way possible. Anyway, I'm not really sure. Every time I come up here, I'm like, I'm not really sure I'm going to talk about. I don't, but maybe I'll just talk to you about what's in my heart right now. I'm sorry, I'm a little sick, so I'm losing my voice a little bit. So I'm going to try to speak up, even though my son is sleeping. So I may go in and out with regards to how high I'm speaking. And also because I'm sick, my voice may go in and out. Anyway, so I am feeling like a heaviness in my chest right now, and I don't know where it's coming from. And I don't know if it's like personal, work related, or just everything that's going on in the world, right? It's heavy right now. There are just things that are just out of sorts with regards to what we're used to, the norm of our everyday lives, and things are just out of whack and just in a bit of a chaotic state where no one really knows what's going on and what's the next move and how that next move is going to impact our everyday lives as well as our future. And then we're constantly getting feedback about AI taking over our jobs, people not having work not being available for people, the earth being overpopulated, the earth being underpopulated. It's just like such extremes. There's like no one really just going down the center and really just explaining the whole picture of what's going on without going into extremes, right? And don't get me wrong, like if I'm doing thought exercises, I like to go into the realm of extremes, but that just helps me to bring me back to balance, to help me center. But it's not somewhere that I like to stay. And a lot of people that like to stay in extremes of either side of things, I let them experience that because when people are extremists, there's nothing that I've learned that you can say that will change their mind or that will bring them to center. They have to be willing to bring themselves to center. All I can do is listen. And sometimes I will play devil's advocate and I hope that I leave them something to think about. But most of the time, people like the echo chamber and they like regurgitating information that they agree with rather than looking at information they disagree with and understanding why they disagree with them and having counter arguments that support their disagreement. I don't know if I'm making sense. Whereas just disagreeing because you know what, that's it. Like I've already made up my mind. I'm on this side of the spectrum. So I'm just going to disagree with everything on the other side of the spectrum, which is the world doesn't work that way. Like even in the creation of the world, you need order, right? And you need chaos. Like chaos brings the creativity and the imagination, and then order brings that together so you can have something tangible. Because if you're constantly in chaos, you're never really going to bring something tangible to the forefront of your reality. So you're constantly just swimming in chaotic energy. And I think, that might be a lot of like results of mental illnesses too, just constantly being in a chaotic state that you're unable to bring tangible things to your reality that help you live your everyday life because you're constantly out somewhere you where that is intangible. So, and that can drive someone crazy, right? Whereas too much order, like someone being OCD, like compulsive about something, that will bring them into a state of inability to function in the world if their OCD overtakes their ability to do things that allow them to move forward in life, tangible things like get up, take a shower, go to work. But if they're constantly like, oh, I can't take a shower because I'm scared of germs, and so they're always just washing, they never end up going to work, right? Because they just spend the time just washing themselves. And then so that makes it so I guess my point is just like the extremes of everything. And we have to find balances in that. And I say that with a caveat too, because you can't find a balance in, I guess if you I have to caveat that because I say find a balance. Like, you don't want to find a balance with being a drug addict. I think that's, I mean, for some people it might work, but for a lot of people, you either have to be clean to like live a full life, and you could have a balance being a drug addict, right? But you may not be living a full life. Like, you may end up giving up other things that will fulfill your life as a human being. So yes, you want to be at a place of balance, but that balance needs to be healthy. So it means that what I like to think about it is in chemistry or in biochemistry, I can't remember, but it's like osmosis, right? And am I thinking of osmosis? But I'm thinking of another word. It's not osmosis, but it kind of works like osmosis, where you have positive ions, negative ions. And in osmosis, I think, I can't remember that far back, and I'm probably using the wrong analogy, but like the water molecules will move towards where there's less water until there's homeostasis in the organism. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you will have less ions on either side, if that makes sense. Like, you won't all of a sudden have less positive ions. You won't all of a sudden have less negative ions. What you have is water moving through the process, consistently coming into the process, making it a homeostasis and about a homeostasis environment for the cell. But doesn't necessarily mean the positive and the negative ions are perfectly balanced. Like, this side has X amount of negative ions, and this side has X amount of positive ions that are equal to each other, so it's balanced. So that's not what we mean by that. When I say balance, it's like, all right, balance is, for example, in tangible reality, right? If I work a lot of hours, I balance that off maybe the next week without working as many hours, but I'm still working, right? Maybe I work smarter, not harder. And sometimes you can't help it, like, because if you're dependent on other people on your team, you may end up just having to work harder because maybe somebody's not pulling their weight. But if you, on the following week, can work smarter and not harder, you found some kind of homeostasis for your environment, if that makes sense. So going back to the weight on my chest, I don't know how to resolve it yet. I'm trying to resolve it. I'm trying to figure out why this weight is on my chest, and it feels like on my heart, it feels like fear. And I don't know if I'm feeling fear from the collective consciousness, if I'm feeling fear from myself, which it could be a combination of both. It's sometimes hard to figure it out if you don't have the time to kind of like meld to like kind of process your emotions and your thoughts. But I guess the point of this chat of living love consciously is, when you feel fear in your heart or in your chest, how do you resolve that? For me, resolving it or trying to lessen the burden that I feel on my chest is exercising. Now that I have a child, it's connecting with my son, letting him talk more than I talk, because having a child's perspective is just so lovely, because it brings you back down to earth. It brings you down from your worries, because they're so innocent, and the way that they process the world is just so adorable. It's just like, aw. So things like that. If you don't have kids, you find other ways. You paint, you do something that takes you out of your mind. You do something that takes you out of your fear. And I'm not saying you go bungee jumping, but I mean something that takes you out of that space where you're feeling fear. And I think I already mentioned you exercise. Exercise helps to take that out of the fear. Prayer helps. And I'm still working on understanding how prayer works, because I was telling my colleague today, I feel like every time I pray, I'm just constantly begging God or Jesus to help me. And then sometimes in my prayers, I'm like, Jesus, help me find the solution. You don't necessarily have to solve my problems for me. Just guide me in helping me find solutions on my own to solve my own problems, right? You give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but you teach them how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime, right? That's what I'm trying to do. Learn to fish for myself so I can eat for a lifetime, and I can teach my son how to fish, and teach you how to fish and propagate that to the world so we all can live better lives, because life is stressful. And a lot of people say we're coming into a golden age. And I really hope that. I want that, because especially since I have a child, I really want that. I don't want life to be hard for him. Not in the sense that I want to give him everything, but I don't want him to struggle the way that I have unnecessarily, just because of the structure of how things are. So, like, I have a good work ethic. I am, I don't know, smart, I guess. And I feel like I should be further in life. Like, at my age, I shouldn't be working as hard as I am. I should have more options to like be able to leave a job where I feel like I'm not respected, or where I feel like I'm not valued as a contributor to the job, but it could just, be my own self worth that's being questioned and I'm projecting it onto my work. But, maybe that's also something that's heavy on my chest, where I feel like maybe it's time for me to part ways with this job, but there's a sense of fear because I don't know what else is there. And I know so many people looking for work. Maybe it's a sense of, our fiscal year is ending soon. So that means that usually that's when layoffs happen, with everything in the economy. Maybe I feel like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel uncertainty in that environment, especially as much as I've given, but I just try to stay in service and not really think about that. And whatever happens, I'm smart enough and I'm capable enough to find solutions. That's what I give myself. And I'm going to go with my colleague. He is such a wonderful soul. Like, he just really is. Like, I've never met anyone like him, and he is so genuine, and he inspires me. So whenever like he does something, he kisses himself on the shoulder. He's like, beautiful baby. So I'm going to start doing that. Beautiful baby, you're doing a great job. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. And I learned that from my colleague. And I don't want to blast his names because he doesn't even know I do this channel. So he is just a wonderful soul. And I'm so glad I met him. And he came into my work environment just as I needed someone of his energetic vibration to enter my world. And I'm grateful for him. And I hope one day I can tell him that. I tell him all the time how great he is, but I don't know if he thinks I'm joking. But he is just a wonderful colleague, and he just makes working in our environment so much more tolerable. All right. So, lovies, the next time you feel fear in your heart, just kiss it up to God and say, you're doing great. Talk to you later. I love you. Take care of yourself. Bye.